What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Ben and JV from JBM Sports Media back with another NFL season projection video. And this is going to be a really fun one right here. We're going to be talking about the 2026-2027 Baltimore Ravens. Without further ado, let's look at some of their additions this offseason. We're going to look at obviously some of their draft selections as well. Talk about the new state of the Ravens because there's a new head coach for them, and that is Jesse Minter coming over from the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh over there and his coaching staff. He'll now be coaching Baltimore. Obviously, John Harbaugh is in New York now. He's going to be leading the Giants, but it's a new era in Baltimore. JV, if you want to go over some of these signings and re-signings as well for the Baltimore Ravens that they did get done in this offseason.
Well, obviously, first and foremost, their 2025 season, just to quickly recap, 8-9 is obviously not a Baltimore Raven type season. So, yeah, this is a new era with Jesse Minter, and we're going to see what he could do, especially with Lamar and that offense. But to go over these key free agent signings, obviously Trey Hendrickson is a top dog here at the defensive end spot. That 4-year, $112 million deal locking him in. Obviously, maybe it wasn't even their first choice because they had a deal in place for Max Crosby, and then he fails a physical, so it was almost like they went to Plan B. But this is not a bad Plan B. This is a lot of teams' Plan A, to be honest with you. So this was a nice pivot, obviously, on their part. And then they get, some offensive line help. They get John Simpson. He gets a 3-year, $30 million deal. They get Jalen Hawkins. They get Danny Pinter. Listen, they really made some moves here, right, to shore up some of the losses that they made. So they did get some line help, and I think that's the biggest thing, right? I think out of everybody on the offensive side of the ball, shoring up the offensive line is a massive key. But obviously, you like what they did defensively. So I like what they did here, in their free agent signings. So I really have no problem with how Baltimore kind of attacked, this offseason. But I do think, yes, they re-signed Zay Flowers. I really do think they needed a number one type receiver. And I think Lamar has kind of lacked that in his tenure as a Baltimore Raven.
Yeah, just to go over this, obviously Trey Hendrickson coming in and being obviously that big anchor piece on that D line, I think it's going to be a key one. Calais Campbell also being here on a 1-year deal. He's a good veteran presence to have. I was always a big fan of Calais Campbell, obviously when he was with Arizona. Coming now to Baltimore, I think it's going to be a little bit of a revamp for Jesse Minter. He's a very defensive-minded head coach, and the way that I feel like this defense, which did struggle at times when guys like Kyle Hamilton went out with injury, Roquan went out with injury as well, like they're going to have a guy like Jalen Hawkins step in just in case that happens again. But obviously losing a big portion of or the big guy in their offensive line in Tyler Linderbaum to the Las Vegas Raiders in the offseason. That's why the John Simpson acquisition made sense, and it made a lot of sense, to be honest with you. Another re-signing that they had, I think it's a very under-the-radar re-signing, was re-signing Tyler Huntley because he actually was pretty good when Lamar went out with injury last year. I think he had that rib contusion, I believe it was. He went out for a few games. Tyler Huntley came in. I think he went 1-1 or 2-1. 2-1, I think he went. He beat the Bears. He beat the Packers. So he actually had a pretty good outing over there in Baltimore. So having a good backup just in case if Lamar does unfortunately go down again, with him and Tyler Huntley ran great RPOs there with him and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's still there. Obviously, we haven't mentioned him, but as long as that guy, is healthy, that guy's going to give you pure consistency all around. So big ups on Derrick Henry. Mark Andrews is going to be tight end number 1 over there with Isaiah Likely now going to New York. So that's another departure that they're going to be missing a little bit. Like you said, though, Zay Flowers is going to have to play that wide receiver 1 role. And is he really that? I don't know. I don't think he is, to be honest with you. And I don't know if you guys saw as well in this video, not in this video, but recently, Rashad Bateman, actually, one of their receivers, he got caught up on a DV charge as well. What a fucking idiot. So
yeah, it's nonsense, man.
So that's something that happened right there. But look, maybe they're going to look at one of these young receivers to possibly step up for Baltimore. But let's look at some of their things that they did in the NFL draft, which I think they had a relatively good draft. They added some O-line help, which is always a good thing, especially losing Tyler Linderbaum. They added Loan from the guard from Penn State, very good. And then they added Zion Young, outside linebacker from Missouri. And I really like this pick at wide receiver, Jacoby Lane from USC. I was very high on him. I wanted the Packers to draft this guy to be a wide receiver 3, but the Baltimore Ravens get him. They also drafted national champion Elijah Surratt, wide receiver from Indiana. They drafted a tight end basically to back up Mark Andrews and Matt Heibner from SMU. So yeah, they had a pretty good draft. I actually really liked their draft. What did you think about it?
No, I think they had a really good draft, and like I said, I think they had a very good offseason overall. If you take a look at this draft, considering where they landed, obviously, with the under 500 season, they were able to, get a better pick in better years that they're not usually used to getting a pick like this in the middle of a round like that. So, I really think that they had a good offseason, to be honest with you. I just think that the one thing that they lack, to me, Zay Flowers is a two. I think he's a very good number two option, and I think they just need a number one receiver. Because yes, Mark Andrews is to me a top five tight end when he's healthy, but that's the key thing when he's healthy. This guy could go on a 10 to 11 streak, game in a row, he could miss 10 or 11 in a row due to, injury, and he can only play about 5 or 6 games. It's happened plenty of times where he's missed ample time. So I think if he got a number one, I think that this would be a really, really good team going into 2026.
Yeah, and looking at Lamar Jackson, which he had a down year, but relatively down the stretch, he had a pretty good year when he came back from injury. I will say that. It's just he started off a little bit rocky to begin with. And I will say the one thing about Lamar is, can he stay healthy? I mean, this guy has battled several amount of injuries, and it looks like now with Jesse Minter there, I think he knows that there's going to be this new era type of feeling there, and the Harbaugh era is officially, that chapter's closed, thankfully, because I think it was time for both sides to move on, and I think that there was that realization that even though they were making the playoffs consistently, it wasn't like making the playoffs and going on a deep run. I think they only made the AFC Championship game one time with Lamar Jackson right there and John Harbaugh. So look, maybe Minter could come in and really spice things up, because that defense needed to spice up. And getting a head coach defensive minded like Jesse Minter, I really do like. And for Lamar, I always said this as well. I feel like whenever he has a down year or maybe like a little bit of an injury prone year, he always comes back with some vengeance, and I really do see it with him this year as well. I always said it in the Chiefs video as well. I said him and Mahomes are going to be coming out like full fury, and I see it from both of them. Like, they're going to show why they're still top three or maybe even top four quarterbacks in this league. And I see Lamar having a great year with Jesse Minter, year one over there. But I think there's a perfect segue to look at the Bet MGM over under right here. This is a very interesting number right here. I will say this via Bet MGM, by the way, if you guys want to sponsor us, by all means. The current line is 11.5. It's currently favored to go under, and it's currently you'll get a good bang for your buck if you do go with the over right here. Looking at the AFC North, looking at the division, and looking at their schedule, obviously, I don't know if you got a chance to glance at it, JV, but it's doable. I'll be honest, with the poor season that they had last year, they got a doable schedule. I will say that. So first and foremost, where's your mind at when it comes to an over/under number right here for the Baltimore Ravens this upcoming season?
I'm going to go under. I'm going to go that they go 11-6 and they go slightly under that mark. I do think that are going to have a much better season. I think Lamar's going to have a much better season. And if, like I said, if that offense could stay healthy, they'll do fine. But to me, he does need another threat on the outside there. I'll say it again. I know I've said it a bunch of times, but I do feel like if he's one more threat away from really having a well-balanced offense, and if Mark Andrews can stay healthy, along with obviously Derrick Henry being a complete monster, this offense is going to score a lot of points. So, I do know like a couple of things need to happen for them offensively, but if those things do happen, they just got to get on the field and do it. So I have, a lot of confidence that they go 11-6 in the 2026 season, just slightly under the over here.
You know what? I don't mind that at all. I really don't. I like that because I think this is going to be, well, spoiler alert. I know we haven't gotten into like division predictions or nothing like that, but I think this is most likely going to be the best team in the AFC North with the Bengals. I feel like they still lack defensively. They're still a below average defense when you look at it all together. And obviously, Cleveland's a shit show. And Pittsburgh, I think it's an old house over there. And you're kind of have to rely on Rodgers at a point because if anything goes south there, it's going to go south big time. I think the floor is a big time floor right there in Pittsburgh. So I think for me, Baltimore being this AFC North favorite to win it, I'm gonna do something a little bit bold. I think they're gonna go 12-5. I think I'm gonna go with the over right here. I'm actually gonna bump it and actually I might take this in an actual parlay at plus 120 because I really do like it. I've seen the statistics every single time Lamar and the Ravens have a down year. They normally always come back with a little bit of vengeance, whether that was in his 2024 campaign, whether that was, I believe, afterwards in 2021. No, 2020 actually, 2020. Like I see it, man. I see it, and I feel very good about Baltimore this year. Even though to me, there's a little bit of concerns, like, well, how long will the adjustments take place from Minter to Harbaugh, and like, are they bought in the locker room? That as well. But I do like the either 11, 12, or even if you say 10 wins, I wouldn't be like that opposed to it. But anywhere from 10 to 12 wins, I'll say for the Ravens.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering what Declan Doyle is going to do. Is he going to try to kind of reinvent Lamar and like try to like kind of reshape them offensively, or is he going to play to Lamar's strengths and kind of reshape everything else? That's where I'm interested to see how they kind of handle Lamar.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a perfect way to put it because I think the run game, as long as Henry's still there and he's healthy, he's gonna bring you, like I said, consistency, if anything else. And with that, Zay Flowers, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have a little bit of a bold take right quick because going back to one of these young wide receivers, one of these guys will propel themselves like to be like a very underrated fantasy receiver, whether it's a Jacoby Lane or Elijah Surratt. One of these guys will have a big season with the Ravens. Not a 1,000-yard season, but I could see maybe a 550-yard season receiving for one of these guys because the constant impact, the way that Lamar, even we say that Zay Flowers is not a wide receiver one, sometimes Lamar Jackson does have that capability to make him look like a wide receiver one at
True,
times.
true.
So I think he could do that for one of these guys, make him look like a wide receiver too, a prominent and not a rookie, make him look like they've been in the league for 2 to 3 years. So one of those guys will have a nice jump if you guys maybe week 7, week 8, if you guys pick one of those up for a bye, if you guys have a receiver on a bye, maybe that's something you guys could look into. But look, I think the Ravens are due for a bounce back year after not making the playoffs via Tyler Loop missed field goal. But look, there's a new era in Baltimore, and I think a lot of fans are excited because even though they loved Harbaugh, they understood that that era had ran its course, absolutely ran its course. So we'll see how it plays out. Do you have any final words about the Ravens?
No, listen, if they can also obviously play stout defense, I think they're going to set their offense up for even more success. So, they're going to be relying on the defense to get off the field in some, certain situations. Obviously, if they get some of these offenses into third and long, you want to get them off the field quickly and try to get as many 3 and outs as you can as well. I know that's tough, but, I think with the way this defense is shaped, they could be a really good defense in the AFC and in their division as well. So, if they could really put up some good numbers, I think the offense is going to have a lot of good chances to put up a lot of points. So the Ravens, to me, are going to be a potential division winner.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think right now, even though I love Cincinnati's offense, I do not like their defense. Even though with the addition of Dexter Lawrence, and we talked about them already previously, and to me, it's like the Ravens are the most complete team in that division all around right now. If I had to put pen on paper on it, obviously the product needs to be played out on the field, and we're gonna see how it goes down week by week. But yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comment section. Are we tripping? Are we being a little bit too, do I say, reaching with the prediction? Do you guys think that the Ravens are actually due for a worser season than last year? I really doubt it. But hey, it's your guys' opinions as well. Leave it down in the comment section. As always, if you guys haven't yet, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Until next time, we'll catch you guys later. Peace.